stay, but you're not my parents. And the king and queen and the prince of gold saw this and just left. And then out of the corner of the eye, she heard music. And it was the old woman playing her.
Oh.
That's one of my longest stories, by the way. So, for people who are late, you're forgiven, because what the hell else could we do? But everyone made a deal, if I tell stories, you have to share the meaning. So people who are late, do you agree to share meaning? If I tell stories, raise your hands. Okay, so what is the meaning of a silverless princess?
Not to settle for less.
Were women getting angry at me at the beginning?
No.
Okay, good. You have trust and faith in me? You laugh and you have trust and faith in me. It's a shame I'm married, you know. What else about the story?
Determination.
Determination?
Patience.
You may not be good at like one thing, but you'll always find like something else that you're good at.
Absolutely.
Like, that you have like value in yourself.
And what I like about the story, and each time I tell it, it's different. You know, I really like that she had the guts to leave not knowing where she was going. I mean, so often in life, whether it's a relationship or a space, we know it's not working, right? But we want to know the next space that's going to work before we leave. That's called my first marriage. Okay, we won't get into that. Okay? I've learned. Don't judge me. I've learned. But, you know, so we know we need to leave, but we don't know where to go. And the princess, the silverless princess has the guts to leave and not settle. Okay. So, 3 stories down. We'll never get to all of them. That's not the idea. Let's go to page 4. I need a volunteer to read page 4 to us. By the way, does anyone know J.D. Challenger? The artist? His pictures are at the bottom here. He's very big in Sedona and New Mexico and Arizona. This does not, you know, actually in black and white here does not. He does. I have one picture that I made in my office of stuff of his. He's an amazing artist who captures so much energy and soul. He's at the bottom. So we'd like to read page 4 for us.
Miigwech for coming today. I'm very, very excited to be offering this teaching and storytelling program, having this wondrous, delightful opportunity to share the truth.
Everyone here?
I have learned about being a teaching storyteller. All of us become or are teaching storytellers. Many of us here are teachers, future teachers, counselors, future counselors, mentors, artists, healers, future healers, leaders, future leaders, parents for future parents. All of these require, demand, necessitate being a storyteller. You can continually, ceaselessly grow, develop, and evolve as a teaching storyteller. Yes, most vocations necessitate it. I could not be on my personal and vocational journey without being a teaching storyteller. Long ago, humans took the wrong turn, a very wrong turn. We continue taking many, many, many wrong turns. We pay the price for it every day, individually and collectively, consciously and unconsciously. Joseph Campbell, the great mythologist, shares that individual and collectively, our being truly alive requires rituals, myths, and storytelling. As we took the wrong turn to emphasize technological advancement, we have lost much and are continuing to lose a connection, an interconnection and intimate connection with nature, art, intuition, self, and soul. And we have lost almost all of oral story creating and storytelling. Instead, we have screens and machines. We have our ego-absorbed narcissistic past stories and our ego-absorbed narcissistic future projection stories. Naively, idealistically, innocently, I refuse to be part of this insanity of the loss of the oral tradition, the loss of being a story creator and of being a storyteller. Today shares a treasure trove of learning based on study, experience, and reflection, so that story creating and storytelling remains alive. Miigwech.
Any thoughts or feelings about this?
What is Miigwech, man?
Who said that? Who said? Oh! Oh! Stand up! Oh, what's your name? I'll take you home. Oh, oh. Oh, I'm Rudy. Okay, everyone put their hands together and go Rudy. 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 You don't know. You don't know. So, real quick, it doesn't matter. What's the difference what we get to? So, I am doing, anyone know Hinsdale Central High School? It's one of the top high schools in Illinois, one of the top in the country. I'm doing programs for their top honor students, sophomore, junior, and seniors. And at that time, I was going blind, so I had 2 cornea transplants. It's about 11 years ago. So I had a poem called Seeing with Different Eyes. Meg Wetch, I see with the eye of a gay person, a Russian person, a Christian person. Meg Wetch, I see with the eye of a hawk, an eagle. Because I don't know whose eyes I got. So everyone, there was about 200, the brightest, the best and brightest, read this poem out loud, saying the word Meg Wetch 8 times. Okay, we got done. No one asked. I didn't have a Rudy. I did not have a Rudy. I need a Rudy. No one asked. So we went for about 10 minutes, and I said, how come no one asked? There was also the principal, the social workers, the counselors, the administrators there. No one asked. And one really neat little girl, well, to me she was little, and the first girl goes, we have learned that everything we didn't know you will tell us. Isn't that sad? Well, let me make it sadder, okay? I did a teacher institute. 400 teachers told that story. Oh, I didn't like that, the worst part. So, I'm sorry, roll the tape back. So I said, they'd asked me then what Meg Wetch was. I said, here's the deal. I always keep my address, you'll see it in there. Anyone who writes and asks me what Meg Wetch is, I will not only answer them, but I will send a little gift. You'll get some gifts today. I'll send a button, Okay, 200 students, 30 faculty members. Guess how many people wrote me? So now we go. 400 teachers at a teacher institute. Okay, I tell that story. Guess how many people asked what Meg Wetch was? I ask again. Write a letter. You get a gift. Guess how many of the 400 wrote? I did this to a group of 150 social workers. Guess how many asked? There was no Rudy. What's happened to us? Where is our curiosity? I am stupid enough for the rest of my life, if I don't understand a word, if I don't understand what someone's saying, I ask. Not to be a know-it-all, not to be little, I ask. Why won't you ask? Meg Wetch. That's my tangent. Anyone knows me get nothing done. I just go on a tangent of a tangent of a tangent. You don't like it? Get some food and leave, I guess. Meg Wetch is a Lakota term. The Lakota people hate the term Sioux. They call themselves Lakota, which simply means they're people. It means my soul thanks you for the gifts we've shared. So your soul has shared gifts with me. My soul has a gift for you. Isn't that a beautiful way of speaking? Robin, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Let's move on. Page 5. Now we're making a distinction here, or I'm making a distinction here, between storytelling and teaching storytelling. A lot of my stories have been invented in sessions, okay? I was a counselor and therapist that always snuck in mentorship. Now I'm just a mentor, and sometimes I sneak in being a shaman, but in this culture, this is rough, so I'm a mentor, okay? So my stories, a lot of them come about in an individual session or in a group. I create a story. Or a lot of my stories come from the workshops and programs I do. All my stories are just a vehicle to carry a teaching. Hopefully they're entertaining, hopefully people relate to them, but to carry a teaching. So a teaching story is to teach people a message. I have 3 daughters. Some days I have 2, some I have 1. Some days they don't have me, some days I don't have them. It's a rough process. But when my daughters were growing up, there were not a lot of stories for women that I liked, for girls. I invented a character called Sally and Betsy. These were 10 to 12-year-olds, okay? It was confusing whether they were sisters or cousins, that solved every problem in the universe. Okay? And when I ran out of Sally and Betsy stories, I made it Mei and Ling. Okay? So they became ancient Chinese stories. That's why my daughters listen to no one, including me. There's Sally and Betsy and Mei and Ling. But the stories were how I taught my daughters the teachings as a parent, rather than rewarding, bribing, and punishing. Stories are a way to reach people, to help them learn. So, are people born storytellers, or they learn how to be storytellers? What's the answer to that? Yes. Some people, it seems, have a more natural gift for it. I have a big advantage. I'm from New York and Jewish. Okay? Everyone in New York who's Italian or Jewish is a storyteller. Now, I'm not saying it's a good storyteller. Okay. Anyone from New York here? Okay. Is this not true? Seriously, is it true?
Yeah.
Are you Italian or Jewish? So, stand up. Stand up a second. Is not every Italian in New York a storyteller? Who's better than an Italian grandma to tell stories?
Grandfather, maybe?
Grandfather, okay. What's your name?
Bill.
Richard. Thanks, Bill. Why is it important to be a storyteller? Well, a few of you may end up parents, whether you want to or not, mostly because you want to. Many of you, in doing art, believe it or not, don't get me crucified at the Art Institute, every piece of art is a story. Whether it's a shitty story, whether it's a beautiful story, whether you're trying not to make a story, that's the story. But there's never been a dream, there's never been a piece of music, there's never been a work of art that isn't a story. Shh. I was once I do Jungian nights, and I gave an assignment. Here's a tangent with a tangent. I gave an assignment. I had a group of like 12 adults, and we spent like 12 hours working on Jungian psychology. I do this every year. The assignment I gave everyone is to write a 2-page story not about them. Not to have anything to do with them. That was the only assignment. They can write about a 3-headed Martian. Okay? They can write. So everyone wrote their stories, and I said to them, okay, does the story have anything to do with you? And they all said no. When they read their story, it was all about their lives. You could not do anything that doesn't come from within you, no matter how hard you try. Your dance, if you are a dancer, expresses you. How many dancers we have? No dancers? Musicians. Artists. Like to be artists. Would someday want to be an artist. Would like to spell art. It's all a story. Okay, let's go to page 6. The closest words come to expressing the soul is poetry. People love poetry. My test of whether someone was really alive is what are their 3 favorite poets and 3 favorite poems. It's amazing in America how many people can answer them. It would stagger your mind. Do you know in many cultures in ancient Japan and China, if you were interviewing for a job as a judge, it was based on your poetry, calligraphy, and poetry life. My favorite poets are Rumi and Rilke. Okay? Anyone know Rumi? Rumi wrote in the 12th century, R-U-M-I, and his stuff is just as relevant as if he wrote it today. And the German poet, Marie Rainer Rilke, are you familiar with that? Unbelievable. Those are the poets that touch my heart. So I write a lot of poetry. I enjoy poetry. So I wrote a poem called The Storyteller. So who would like to read that on page 6? Okay.
The Storyteller. There is a deep thirst and a deep hunger in the mind and